So you guys know I've been traveling pretty much every single weekend for walkaway rallies for the past several months, and last night I flew home from Omaha, Nebraska into Manchester, New Hampshire about 8 o'clock at night, 8:15, something like that. The very first text that I got, literally as soon as my plane landed, was that ACB had been confirmed by the Senate to the Supreme Court. I was really excited about this. I'm going to be honest, I wanted to watch this live, and I was a little annoyed that the live TV was not working on my particular airplane, but I had full confidence that she would be confirmed and that we could celebrate for a brief moment before the Democrats started losing their minds and demanding that the courts be packed when Joe Biden is president. And we're going to talk about the court packing thing in a second, but I also want to say this because I've gotten a lot of questions from you guys about, Carlin, do you think that you would have supported ACB if you hadn't gone to that Trump rally? And the answer is yeah. Honestly, I probably would have. Like, you guys seem to think sometimes that I just completely shifted my worldview because of a Trump rally, and that is decidedly not true. It is simply not the case. I kind of pride myself on always having been a pretty rational flipping human being, and I'm going to present evidence of it right now. What we've got on the screen right here is a screenshot of a post I made on Facebook on January 31st, 2007. Now, remember, this was right after Donald Trump got inaugurated. I literally cried when Trump was elected. I did not want him to be president, but this was the post that I had responding to Neil Gorsuch being Trump's Supreme Court nominee way back in the day when leaving the Democratic Party was just but a glimmer in my eye. I had no idea any of this was going to happen. Here's what I said back then. I said, okay, I'm going to say something controversial that will get all the women to yell at me. I agree with the Hobby Lobby decision that Neil Gorsuch ruled on that we'll hear a lot about in the coming weeks. Religious freedom has to apply to everyone, and that's a very closely held family business with a family that legitimately, agree with it or not, is very religious. To this day, they offer 16 different types of birth controls that their employees can take advantage of under their insurance plan. A lot of people know that, by the way. A lot of people think that Hobby Lobby just eliminated birth control from their insurance program. That's not what they did. People working at Hobby Lobby had 16 different options that they could choose from for birth control. And this is part of why I always agreed with this decision, because when I went on birth control, back when I was in college, I was given 3 options, and I had to choose one of those options, and 3 was more than enough. If you can't make a choice among 16 different options, then I'm sorry, man. Go get a different job at a different place where you get different insurance. You can make that choice as well. But 16 different options for birth control is more than enough selection. I digress. Let's keep going. They also take pretty decent care of their employees, closing on Sundays so they can spend it with their families and paying them above the minimum wage. Point to the Hobby Lobby case if you like, but know he's ruled in favor of other types of religious freedom too. Having looked at him a bit now, I don't think this guy is the devil. I don't agree with all of his positions, but I do agree with some. I don't mind people being conservative. I mind them being asshats. It was censored there because I have swear blocking software on my browser, but that's what it said. It said asshats. I'm torn here. I really want the Democrats to stick it to the Republicans for what they did. That was referencing Merrick Garland. But should this guy be confirmed? Probably. Would it be a tragedy if he was? No, I don't think so. Don't let the heated nature of discourse get in the way of maintaining your own nuance and context. We can still think independently, folks. So there is your answer about whether or not I would have supported ACB if I hadn't gone to that Trump rally. The answer is probably. I like constitutionalists. I like originalists. They don't go off the rails. I find them to be very fair. I find them to be really thoughtful jurists. And so maybe I agree with them, maybe I don't on every single point. But listen, man, I'm not a lawyer. That is their job. And I would prefer someone be an originalist than an activist every single day of the week. But of course we knew that today we were going to be treated to a rash of people demanding retribution for the confirmation of ACB. And one of the favorites that I have particularly come across this morning is our friend Ibram X. Kendi, who teaches at my alma mater, Boston University, which I can't understand why, and I will not donate 1 cent to Boston University for as long as this person is employed by them. Absolutely not, because this guy doesn't know what he's talking about and should not be influencing young minds in any way, shape, or form. But let's see Let's see what Ibram X. Kendi said this morning. The Republicans changed the rules and added their Supreme Court justice to secure the majority. So why can't the Democrats change the rules and add their Supreme Court justices to secure the majority? Ibram, no rules were changed in the confirmation of Amy Coney Barrett. No rules were changed. Literally no rules were changed. No rules were changed when they didn't confirm Merrick Garland. No rules were changed when they confirmed ACB. That is completely, just factually untrue. He keeps going though. When I say rule change, what I mean, GOP not considering an election year nominee and 4 years later confirming an election year nominee. That's not changing the rules, and I'm going to explain why that is in a second. Democrats upping the number of justices. Those are two completely different things. The Democrats packing the court is very literally changing rules that have been in place for 150 years. That is very literally changing the rules. The Republicans choosing not to have a vote on Merrick Garland, well, hypocritical in this particular stance, and no Republicans, I don't care if you disagree with me on this, I've done an entire video explaining the reasoning behind this, and I don't care if you like it or not, the Republicans are absolutely behaving like hypocrites in this scenario, but just because you're behaving like a hypocrite does not mean that you have changed the rules. Now listen, I'll do a quick too long, didn't want to go back and watch your previous video about what I feel about Merrick Garland. Merrick Garland was the nominee to the Supreme Court. He was not given a hearing and he was not given a vote, and I think that was stupid. If the Republicans didn't want to confirm him, they still could have given him a hearing, the respect that he should be duly afforded, and they could have voted no. They could have voted no. Not voting is not the same thing as voting. If you had given him a hearing and had voted not to confirm him, you would have no beef for me at all. You don't know why? Because you followed the process. The Republicans chose not to do that, came up with a myriad of excuses. I just watched a whole montage of the Republican excuses for doing that last night. And no, not a single one of them, by the way, guys, not a single one of them in 2016 said, well, we have a divided government. The Senate is Republican and the president is Democrat, and that's why we're doing that. Not a single one of them said that in 2016. So don't come at me with that crap. They're being downright hypocrites because they could be. And while that's heelish behavior and I don't support it, and obviously I'm reading the Republicans the Riot Act right now, it is not changing the rules. It is absolutely not changing the rules. Not a single rule was changed. In fact, if you want to talk about changing rules, we could look at Harry Reid, because Harry Reid was the one that removed the requirement for 60 votes in the Senate, not for federal judges, not for the Supreme Court. They knew that was going to come back to bite them. Then Mitch McConnell changed the rules when Neil Gorsuch was nominated to make the bar not 60 for Supreme Court nominees, but 50, because the Democrats were being such raging asshats about someone who was obviously qualified. If the Democrats hadn't been screwing around, then maybe none of this would be even happening right now. Who the hell knows? If they hadn't started this, then maybe this is not a conversation we would be having. The Gorsuch nomination would have gone through and gotten the 60 votes because he was perfectly qualified. And yeah, Trump had every right to nominate him, dude. He was perfectly qualified for the position. He should have been confirmed, just like when Sotomayor and Kagan were nominated. There were Republican senators that voted to confirm them because they were qualified. That should be the standard. But no, the Democrats didn't want to play that game with Gorsuch. They wanted to hold it up, so Mitch McConnell changed the rules in the Senate so that they couldn't. Then, of course, we all know what happened with Kavanaugh, and I am not the biggest fan of Kavanaugh in the world. I'm not going to get into why in this video. It is not relevant, but whatever. The process was followed and he was confirmed. Now, guess what? The same thing happened with ACB. The process was followed and she was confirmed. There was no rule change in this. Are they hypocrites? Yes. Is that the same thing as overturning 150 years of precedent to pack the Supreme Court because you lost an election? Boo-hoo, Ibram X. Kendi. No. You are arguing to change the rules because you lost the ball game. You lost the ball game and now you're going home crying, oh my god, we can only win if we change the rules and pack the courts. Well, you know what, dude? Tough cookies, because Donald Trump is going to sail to re-election. I have absolutely no doubt that after the debate performance last week, Donald Trump is going to sail and we're going to get 4 more years of them crying, and it's going to be glorious, and I'm going to appreciate every single minute of it. Listen, I missed out on the first 2.5 years of the left crying in Donald Trump's presidency. I didn't appreciate it fully at the beginning. I thought Donald Trump was pretty funny. I thought he was amusing. I didn't fully appreciate the glory that is the left losing their minds every single day. It's hilarious. And we have to take humor in this because, I don't know, man, if we don't laugh, we'll cry. Anyway, I digress. Ibram here is completely incorrect. They are not changing the rules. But of course, he got all sorts of responses from those evil Republicans. And he continued. He said, no surprise, Republicans suddenly don't think the U.S. Senate should consider a Supreme Court nominee during an election year to a rule they created in 2016, changing precedent. No, there was no rule created. They simply didn't do something they should have done. Just because you don't do something you should have done does not mean you changed the rule, dude. That's not the way it works. It's hardly surprising. Republicans don't believe they changed their own rule in 2020. Dude, ethical Republicans, and I know this because a lot of you have admitted it, ethical Republicans know they're being hypocrites. They know they're being hypocrites. They might try to massage it. They're like, well, different parties controlled the Senate and the presidency in 2016, but in 2020, the same parties control the two, and that's why we're not hypocrites. No. Most of them know this is BS. They were hypocrites, but they had every right to confirm ACB. That is the rule, man. That is the process. So no, they didn't change any of the process. And frankly, my position on this is that we should go back, like the very best thing that can happen after Donald Trump wins re-election is that we start to adhere to a consistent flipping process. No more playing games when it comes to the Supreme flipping court, because I'm sorry, like Republicans, you invited this nonsense. You invited this nonsense when you didn't hold hearings and you didn't hold a vote in 2016. And yeah, we can go back prior to 2016 and talk about all the things the Democrats did. I don't care, man. Two wrongs doesn't make a right. People have got to stop screwing around when it comes to the judiciary, because this, like, if the courts end up, if God forbid, the courts end up getting packed, that is actually terrifying to me. That is actually something that is going to be deeply problematic for the future of our republic. And that cannot happen under any circumstances. And when you're talking about these game playing and one-upsmanship, now the left is screaming, pack the courts, pack the courts, pack the courts. That's game playing, man. And this is dangerous. This courts are the very last thing that we should be screwing around with. I would fully support a constitutional amendment to limit the number of justices to 9. I would be 100% in favor of that. I believe Ted Cruz is already trying to introduce something like that. If there was anything that I would be in favor of amending the Constitution with, it is limiting Supreme Court justices at 9. And I don't care which side is in power. No side should be talking about packing the Supreme Court, because the minute that one side does it, the other side, as soon as they take back power, is going to do it as well. And then the other side is going to take them back there. And it's going to keep going back and forth. It's like a goddamn Cold War over the Supreme Court. And then our entire system falls apart. At some point, we have to put process over everything else. If you want to make the case to the American people that you are the best party to control the fate of the Supreme Court, well, guess what, man? Joe Biden should have been out there making a case for the last several months based on his merits, his platform, what he'll do for the American people. He hasn't been doing that. All he's been talking about is how bad Donald Trump is. I hope the Democrats get their asses handed to them in this election so that they maybe this time, they're basically repeating 2016 all over again now, but maybe if they get it handed to them in this election, they'll go back and maybe have a moment of clarity to say, the American people don't like what we're doing, we should change what we're doing. Probably not, but I can dare to dream, can't I? All right, guys. That's all I've got for this one. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel, turning on notifications, leaving a comment, letting me know what you think. I know some of Republicans are going to be leaving me comments saying, no, Carlin, we did the perfectly correct thing in 2016. And you know how I feel about that. But whatevs, man. That's all I got for right now. I'll see you soon.